Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told the United Nations General Assembly yesterday that his country will not let Iran have a nuclear weapon. Netanyahu warned the United States and other countries that Iran has changed its president, but not its ambitions.
The only difference between them is this. Ahmadinejad was a wolf in wolf's clothing. Rouhani is a wolf in sheep's clothing. He fooled the world once. Now he thinks he can fool it again. You see, Rouhani thinks he can have his yellow cake and eat it too.
Netanyahu's warning comes as the U.S. and Iran established their first high-level contacts in decades. Former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice is a CBS News contributor. Good morning.
Good morning.
So the question is, can you believe the Iranians? So therefore, the question is, how do you test them?
Well, you certainly can't believe the Iranians or trust them because they have done everything to make certain that you can't trust them. They hid their nuclear program for decades. They have given the International Atomic Energy Agency the runaround. I negotiated myself with the P5+1, the international negotiating team for them. Absolutely cannot trust them. You can test them. You can say, are you willing to give up your nuclear capability fully and completely, verifiably, and see if they'll take the deal. But let's remember that the reasons the Iranians are here now is that that economy is suffering desperately under the weight of sanctions. They want relief from the sanctions. My concern is they're going to want relief from the sanctions before they do anything to deserve it.
But if you read Netanyahu's remarks yesterday to the UN, I mean, he mentioned Rouhani many times, didn't even talk about the Palestinian conflict. Does it suggest that Israel's concerned about a thawing of relations between the U.S. and Iran?
It suggests to me, Nora, that the Israeli Prime Minister is duly concerned about a rush to a deal with Iran that might not ultimately deal with Iran's nuclear program, and that he's setting a warning out there that shouldn't be done.
And then let me ask you this, very interesting. We just learned that the Iranian President Rouhani told reporters in Tehran that the U.S. had contacted him 5 times about setting up a meeting with President Obama, and he told reporters, but I rejected that. Why would he say that?
Well, I suspect he's trying very hard at home not to appear that he has gone soft. After all, that's a pretty tough regime that he's a part of.
Why would Obama and the White House request 5 times to meet with him?
Well, I have to say that that's the sort of thing that the Iranian president probably shouldn't expose if indeed it's true. We should ask the White House whether indeed that's true.
But do you think the people at that level, you've been at that level, really worry about whether somebody says we've tried 5 times?
Well, yes, because it can make the American president look desperate. You don't want the American president to be the demandeur here. The Iranians are the demandeur. They're the ones that are under sanctions. They're the ones that need sanctions relief. And I would hope that somebody in the White House, through whatever channels we can, is saying this is no way to get off to a good start with the United States.
We hear you loud and clear on trust but verify. In the end, though, do you believe the Iranians, because of the pressure of sanctions, possibly have changed, that there could be a change that could lead to serious negotiations to dismantle?
I do not think this regime has changed its ambitions. I do think that this regime realizes that those ambitions are perhaps causing the kind of turmoil at home that they cannot tolerate. So by all means test it. But remember that you cannot leave the Iranians with nuclear capability, leave them with an option for a nuclear weapon later on, because you leave them with the ability to reprocess and enrich their uranium.
I want to turn now to the government shutdown, what's happening in Washington. You are a Republican. What do you make of what this group of conservatives is doing in the House and the president's own actions as well?
Well, as a citizen, I have to say that this is a pretty ugly sight. I would have hoped that our leaders, both from the White House and from the Congress, could sit in a room and say, here's what we need to do. It just doesn't make sense to talk through the media on these issues. Get people in the same room. We have a long history in this country of people being able to reach across the aisle, to sit in the same room and to have the good of the country at heart. And we're not seeing that right now, and I think Americans find it appalling.
But is the country being held hostage because of their desire to cut funding for Obamacare and therefore shutting down the government?
There are people with a strong view in some elements of Congress. The president has a strong view. But certainly, if they can get in the room, particularly the leadership in Congress, which I think wants to get the government going again, they should sit in a room and see if they can't come to a conclusion. Let's not have this firefight across the airwaves instead.
No, we'll see if they ever sit in a room together. Yeah, Condoleezza Rice, thank you.